like your yellow earrings, very cute.
Thank you.
The color for endometriosis awareness, yellow. And I'm wearing my yellow top and a necklace with a little bit of yellow. I don't have a whole lot of yellow.
Yeah, I don't even have any tops that were yellow, so I was like, the earrings it is.
I'm drinking ginger lemon tea with probiotics.
And I am drinking an Earl Grey tea with some cream.
And cheers. Thank you for tuning in to the Sister Sit Down. I'm Desiree.
And I am Jacqueline.
And we wanted to get this out in March because March is Endometriosis Awareness Month. And I have endometriosis. Well, Jacqueline doesn't have it, as far as we know, right?
Yeah, no, I don't have it, and do I know of having it?
No.
Yeah.
That's good.
I haven't had any, I don't think I've ever experienced any symptoms of it either, so.
Yeah, and the symptoms are typically painful cycles, like painful periods and heavy periods. And doctors tend to tell us that it's normal to feel pain during your period, but when the pain kind of cripples you, that's not normal, in spite of what the doctors tell us. And I've had endometriosis since I was 12 years old. I was diagnosed when I was 44. It's really common for women to not get diagnosed for endometriosis until they're in their 30s, go decades without a proper diagnosis. That's very common. What is endometriosis? It's a condition where it's like a tissue similar to the lining of your uterus. This endometrium forms outside of your uterus. And when you have your period, it usually sheds that lining, but the lining that grows outside, or the tissues that grow outside of your uterus, don't shed, and they just continue to build up. And they're kind of like this sticky goo that kind of ends up gluing everything together. By the time I finally got my surgery, my ovaries were glued to my uterus. Everything was glued together. It was pretty bad. I mean, it was stage 4, which is as high as it gets. And I went through decades of pain without getting a diagnosis. And so we were going to talk about this before, and then we scrapped it, and we talked about the Texas storm, and we talked about the Abbott lifting the mask mandate. And then I came across this post in Facebook in one of the support groups from a woman who said that she wants to work to raise awareness, that she was really disappointed at how late in her life she was diagnosed, and what can she do to raise awareness. And since March is Endo Awareness Month, I thought we would just do a quick little talk about something that happened in February in the endometriosis support community, and just kind of just to raise awareness of endo, and getting to know if you have really painful periods, then endometriosis may be your problem.
Yeah, I had also never heard of it until you got your diagnosis and you started talking about it, which is strange because a lot of women do experience this. And now that you mention like how it's extremely painful periods, I remember growing up, I did have very painful periods. Now as an adult, I have them, but they're not as painful. So I don't believe that I do have endometriosis. Like it's never been like crippling. I do remember that there were times when I was younger, like in elementary and middle school, because I got my period very young, that there were times where I couldn't go to school because it was just so bad. And now I have bad days where I might have a headache or I might feel sick, but it's nothing like I remember when I first started getting my period. And I remember grandma would tell me that, who's for the viewers, she's our grandma, our dad's mom. She shared with me that when she was growing up that she would cry and cry, and sometimes she would be at school and hurting from her pain and from her periods too. She told me that she had very painful periods.
Oh,
So
I didn't know that. She never told me that, but I didn't grow up around her at that age. I wasn't around her very much. So you might have it, because you had 2 children. I think that having children, the hormones that your body creates, does tend to delay progression of it. So keep an eye on your symptoms. And if they get worse, you might want to look into that. I have no kids. It can make it to where you cannot have children. And I believe that's been the case with me. And that's one of the more painful, emotionally painful side effects. And I remember the first time I heard about endometriosis, I thought, well, that can't be what I have. But the thing is that 1 in 5 women get it. And as you said, you hadn't heard of it before. We knew about period pain, and we're just taught to say that it's normal. And we don't know what level of pain is normal. But the level you're describing that you had when you were in high school, I think that's not normal. And that suggests something could be going on. Unfortunately, the only way to really diagnose it is surgery.
And I would say that, like, since I've had kids, my periods are not as bad, like you've mentioned. And that's what I was going to say earlier, is ever since I had kids, my periods don't seem to be as bad as they used to be. But I remember them being pretty terrible when I was younger.
So mine were terrible since I was 12. And I want to tell my story on my own channel, which Jacqueline has her own channel. You have a couple of channels, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I have two.
And I have two also, but I'm only going to tell you about one, which is just my personal channel. And I will go in and add my own story and kind of give you the whole history of that for anyone who wants to know more. And we'll put the links to our other channels down there. And while you're looking, why don't you give us a like and a subscribe?
Comment down below if you or someone that you know has had their own experiences with endometriosis, or if this is the first time you're hearing about it.
And if you think you might have it, we're not doctors, so we can't really tell you whether or not you have it. But, talking about it is the way forward. So
Yeah.
that's
And
what we want to do.
also, if you feel that there is something wrong and not right with your body, and your doctor is telling you that everything is fine, and you think that maybe you should get a second opinion, maybe you should. Like we said, we're not doctors, but I am all for advocating for your own health and for your own body, because sometimes doctors are not always right.
I went into a specialist and told him, I have endo. I know because I Googled the symptoms and I have all these symptoms. And he asked me about one symptom, painful going number 2. I told him, yes, I have that. That hurts to go number 2. And that was when he was pretty sure that I had endo, because that's a very common kind of telltale sign of endometriosis. It means that it's grown on your rectum, and it's very, very common for that to happen, but it can grow in other parts of your body. So it's not the kind of thing to let go. Listen to your body, trust your body, and don't trust a doctor who's quick to dismiss you or your pain. So I want to talk about some gossip. So Chrissy Teigen, she's someone I had never heard of before. And it's not like unusual for celebrities to advocate for endometriosis. She came out about it in February because she went to get her surgery. And in the endometriosis support group community, there was sort of this pushback against her. Like, some people were criticizing her. And my thought was, well, anyone who is going to raise awareness, I think, is a good thing. And I know who John Legend is. I mean, I feel like most people probably know that, but I didn't really know who she was. And since then, I've learned she's John Legend's wife. She is a chef. She writes cookbooks. That's
She's
not all I know about her.
Supermodel, or she still models, but she used to be a supermodel that would walk the runways. And she came out in lots of magazines.
Like, for me, it's like, why would anyone object to her raising awareness? But apparently people don't like her. I knew more about it when I was younger. These days, I'm too busy to keep up with it. And I keep up with things that I'm more interested in. Celebrity culture is just not one of them.
Yeah, I only know Chrissy Teigen because she does say a lot of things online, and people will, talk about it.
She's tweeting on February 3rd. Well, she's retweeting. Before she had surgery, she says, can anyone tell me their experience after endometriosis surgery? What is the recovery difficulty level? Like, can I make soup after? And anyone who's had an excision, I'll just say right here that you should have an excision and not an ablation if it's endometriosis. And if you want to know more about the difference in that, let us know down here. We'll talk about it more in this channel. But there's also a Facebook group called Nancy's Nook where you can get all kinds of information if you're in Facebook. So she's asking about, like, can you tell me, can I make soup? And like, no, you're not going to be making soup. Any surgery that happens kind of in the abdominal area, it's going to make it hard for you to get up in and out of bed, walking around for a few days at least.
Hard to even like come up from I can only imagine because I have had a C-section. So I can only imagine it's probably something similar, but maybe even worse, just because of the fact that they're with the endometriosis, the way that you describe it, they really have to get all around your organs, and that just sounds very painful from the insides as well.
And then depending on the severity of your endometriosis, my surgery was really bad. It took a long time. It was really severe. But if you're just like a stage 2 or stage 3, maybe you don't have as much endo, so you might recover more quickly. So recovery is going to vary from person to person, but just like with your C-section, you got cut open in the abdominal area. You're not making soup the next day.
It's like just sitting up is incredibly painful.
Yeah, I had more pain getting in and out of bed when I had my gallbladder surgery than I did with the endometriosis surgery. But I was really worn down and it was really hard to get up and walk around. The worst part really was the gas because they fill you up with gas to puff you up so they can get in there. And so I was like, leave me alone. I'm just going to be alone playing video games until all this gas is out.
Yes.
There's no way to do that quietly. So then there's another quote of her, and she shows a little video of her. I like the little heart she has on her bandage. It's cute. And she's like, an update. Holy shirt. It's a no on the suit, but a go on Curb, which I guess is what, an online ordering platform.
Yeah, I'm not sure what curb is, but yeah, I was thinking something along the lines of that. Probably take out some sort.
But apparently she tweeted this. She's taken it down sometime before.
There's other stuff that she's tweeted along the lines of this that's
She's watching Toddlers and Tiaras, and she says, seeing little girls do the split half naked is just, I want to put myself in jail. And it's kind of ambiguous. Like, it seems pervy, but then at the same time, it's kind of like not necessarily incriminating. I mean,
it's the word.
talking
It's
about,
the
no,
because
I
she could
can,
either be saying that she wants to put herself in jail because she's enjoying it for the wrong reasons, or
I
she's
mean,
make the point that this is not a show we should have in existing. I mean, I would agree. I would agree that those types of shows do take advantage of small children who can't consent, like psychologically or not, in an age where they can consent to be filmed, to being filmed, and to be doing all these things. It's crazy to me. But yeah, the way she worded that is too weird.
I agree. You can read it either way. You can read it as like she's saying that the show shouldn't exist because anyone watching it should is like guilty of child pornography, or she could be talking about she's enjoying it too much. And I think a lot of people read it that way. And so yeah, they took issue with her. And then I have one more. Because she's deleted that. You can't find that comment anymore. And so, like, did she delete the toddlers and tiara comment? She's like, I've deleted 60,000 tweets because I cannot effing stand you idiots anymore. And I'm worried for my family. So she's had so much backlash that she's deleted her tweets.
So the endometriosis community was kind of like, we don't claim her.
Well, it's mixed, right? Some of them were, a lot of them were, yeah, we don't want to claim her. And then others were like, anyone who's willing to raise awareness, it's good for the cause. So
Yeah.
it's split down the middle.
Yeah, I don't think that she doesn't deserve the opportunity to talk about her experiences, but I also, and those are the reasons why I don't like her, is because of all those. I've seen all those old tweets, and there's more that are just like, this is not it.
For those of you just tuning in, before we started this video, I told my sister, Jackie, that we were going to talk about Chrissy Teigen. And she's like, oh, I don't like her. And I'm like, the first I'd ever heard of her was when I saw these posts about her in the Indo community. Now, she is an Indo warrior. We can't take that away from her. But is she an Indo sister? And that's going to be whether or not the sisterhood will let her in. On the one hand, I am a little wary of tweets like the one about the splits and the toddlers doing splits, and that could have been phrased a little better. And she, as far as I know, she never really tried to explain it either. But I also feel like people who don't need to explain themselves also don't explain themselves. So the fact that she never tried to explain it doesn't really tell us that much. I don't really know. Like, I don't, all I know is from my perspective, the fact that she's willing to put herself out there, that she's sharing videos of her experience and she's raising awareness about it. Those things commend her to me because she's willing to share about a disease. It's an invisible disease. People, you don't see it. People don't often believe it. It's dismissed by doctors. It's something that 1 in 5 women have, but are often not diagnosed in time. So the fact that we have celebrities raising awareness of any kind, I think for me, that's a good thing. But is her bad reputation bad enough that she's actually doing more damage than good?
I mean, I don't think that she has been found guilty of any crimes, and I don't think anybody's really accused her of any crimes specifically, but I think there's been enough.
So what else? Because
I
that's
mean,
the only thing I've ever seen is that one about that
I'd
one.
have to look. I really would have to look into it, because
Delete it.
I don't want to like go too much into it without like having my facts to back me up. I've seen more stuff about her that was kind of weird like that. And I mean, when you think about the modeling industry, the fashion industry also is very strange. So she was a part of that community for a long time. I don't know. I do think that I don't think her supporting endometriosis and like raising awareness would do any damage to endometriosis, because I don't think anybody's gonna be like, oh, I hate Chrissy Teigen, like F anyone who has endometriosis. Just because like if anything, people would be like, what is she talking about? What is she? And then they might look it up just because they hate her that much that they're actually looking it up because now they want to know. Like, I don't know, or people who like her now they're concerned. So either I just feel like either way, it's gonna only raise awareness. And I can see why people would be weary of accepting her and like into the community, like, but at the same time, like, I don't think it hurts her to tell her story.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. So it's a win-win for the Indo community. I mean, she wasn't someone that I knew a lot about. As I learned more about her, I feel like she's brave and pretty straightforward with what she says, but
And
also
her
problematic. Hmm?
I'm sorry, that last part you cut out. You said that
Oh,
she's
I was
also problematic.
Yeah, because if I had said something about toddlers doing splits, I feel like if people misinterpreted that, I would feel the need to clarify that I meant that as a condemnation of the show, not that I was personally getting off on that. And she never, as far as I know, she never clarified. And I get why she would just be stubborn. I don't know. She's got that personality type where she's just like, I don't need to explain myself to anyone. And I understand that. But as a public figure, if
Yeah.
you kind of do need to respond to criticism from your fans if you say something like that. You are accountable to your words, and just deleting them doesn't make them go away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good enough to just delete, especially when it's something to do with that specific topic of harming children, because in my opinion, the worst thing that a human being can do is harm a child in any way, because children are so innocent, they're so trusting, they're vulnerable. They can't, most of the time they cannot properly explain their emotions. They don't have the cognitive awareness to understand most of those types of situations, you know, and you do something to hurt a child, you're taking their childhood from them and you're completely changing their life forever. And even just joking about that, I guess like dancing on the edge of that joke was just not, even if it was like a joke or what, like, because that's what she was trying to be funny, but it's not funny at all. I don't find that humor funny. It just
I
makes me kind of upset.
100% agree that that's not a funny joke at all. In fact, it's like I don't even get it. I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Where is the punchline? I missed it.
Right. And it leaves us all kind of confused about the nature of her and her motives.
But if we've learned anything from the past few years with the Me Too movement and all of these comedians that tell the nastiest and grossest jokes are usually the ones who are actually doing those things. It's not a joke. There's truth to their jokes. You
And
know,
that's
we
not to
Bill
say,
Cosby, Chris D'Elia, Louis C.K. He made jokes about doing things in front of women without their consent, and he was actually doing it. Like, it wasn't a joke. He was just telling a story that he was actually living, and people laughed at it. But then when they're like, oh, that really happened, it's like, how are we so surprised?
Louis C.K. was another one that kind of broke my heart because I really enjoyed his show and
Yeah,
I
me
thought he was
too.
pretty funny. And then when I found that out about him, I'm like, "Oh, I can't laugh at him anymore. I can't look at him anymore. I can't." It's the same with Woody Allen. And, I really hope that Chrissy Teigen was just making a statement. But you're right. I mean, the fact that she would joke about that makes her seem suspect, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
so not something to joke about. And yeah, I'm with you on that. To me, hurting children and hurting animals because they are innocent and they're helpless and we shouldn't hurt them. We need to be kind to them, nurture them.
advocate.
And mhm. And the show Toddlers and Tiaras, I mean, I haven't watched it. I've watched some shows that were similar or like parts of them, and I just can't watch them. They disturb me too much. But I agree that those shows are not healthy for children and probably shouldn't be happening because the children are not old enough to consent
Mhm.
to that kind of experience that's
Yeah,
going to be on public record for the
forever.
rest of the
Yeah, they can't even understand that concept. That's not even something that they can fully understand, so how could they agree to it? It would be different if they didn't make them dress the way that they make them dress in those shows and the way that they make them dance, because I have watched those shows and I know what she means. It's like you do feel like this should not, to me, when you I there was a movie that came out on Netflix called Cuties that was like young girls. It was a French movie. I don't know if you remember it, but it was like young girls dancing, and it was like, how did this even come out? I never actually even watched it because people said it was so bad. And I knew if I watched something like that, it would just trigger me because that type of stuff just triggers me so hard. I get like, yeah, it's scary. And it's scary to see that there is, because literally who watches toddlers in tiaras? What is
I,
there?
I I don't know who watches it, but I would have guessed that it's moms who want to get their own daughters on there.
Yeah, yeah, on little girls, hopefully. But at the same time, it's like that is also really good content for creepy people to watch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, my issue is mainly like the outfits. Like, she's right that these little girls are dressed very risque, and that word should be nowhere near a child. Like, children, there's nothing wrong with dressing them cute in like little dresses and tutus and like, you know I love the
A little bit of,
ballet, like, look, what's
even a
what's
little bit of rouge,
yeah,
maybe a little bit of
a little bit
eyeshadow, but not too
of them in
much.
like lipstick and falsy. I've even seen the toddlers and tiaras, they literally put fake teeth on them so it looks like they don't have baby teeth. I don't know if you've ever, like, it's crazy. They put like fake wigs. I mean, it's just crazy. They do spray tans. Like, these are 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. What the heck?
Yeah, so no to toddlers and tiaras. So should she have written that? Let's fix it for her.
She should have just said like, "Dang, I was watching toddlers and tiaras, and who actually enjoys this?"
Yes, that's good. I like that.
Very something very clear, like who actually enjoys this, or if you actually enjoy this show, jail for you or something. I don't know, but she was like, I want to put myself in jail. Why do you want to put yourself in jail? Change the channel.
Yeah.
Like I would like to put people in jail when I see stuff like that. I'm like, who filmed this? Who are the producers? And there's, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of moms who want to put their kids on these shows because there is a chance that you can.
To win money or something like that?
But no, no, it's more like about building a platform and then making your YouTube and becoming a, a social media star or like a public figure of some sort. And it was truly shown that that was possible when JoJo Siwa did it. I don't know if you know who she is. I made a video. That's
Oh.
where she got her start, was on a show like that called Dance Moms. And now she's extremely famous, extremely wealthy. She
Is
had
it
a
your
whole,
were you talking about her game? Is that who we're talking
yeah,
about?
she had a board game that Nickelodeon created that was very inappropriate.
Okay, so she was a toddler in a tiara?
She was not
And then
Tara. She was in a show called Dance Moms, and she started in that when she was like 7. And
so
it's
she
very similar where they have them dancing these dances, and they're not
I
wearing fake teeth and stuff, but they're wearing dance outfits that you might see on like an adult, or I just don't know why we're putting like little kids in all these outfits.
when I
Yeah,
was 7 or 6, I lived in a trailer park in the valley, in the Rio Grande Valley, and there was a girl who lived in a camper with us in our trailer park with her father and her mom. But she had these pictures of herself where she was all fully made up with this really heavy layers of makeup, like she looked like an older woman. And I'm a kid seeing this and just kind of astonished at it. But she was in competition dances, and that's why they lived in an RV, because they would travel a lot and have her compete in these dances. Curled her hair, just really put on a lot of makeup. She had all her dresses and all her shoes. And of course, those little girls to us were just like, this is the coolest thing you could have. You look like a grown up, you've got the best dresses, the best shoes. So as little kids, we think it's great. We didn't know that it was weird or creepy because
and it's not
from
hard to get the kid on board either. Yeah, show them the
right,
outfits, show them the glitter and the hair and everything, and they're like, sure, I'll do it. Sounds like fun.
yeah, your daughter, my niece, like whenever I put lipstick on, and she wants it. So we need to, as grown-ups, not encourage that because they don't know. They don't understand. We didn't understand the implications of a little girl dressing up like a woman. We think that as little girls, that's what we want to do because women are so beautiful and we just want to be beautiful. We don't understand that we're also sexualizing little girls. They don't understand that they can't understand that. It's up to
And
us to not do that and to not make it okay. And great job rewriting Christy Teigen's tweet. I couldn't do it better myself.
like this show, jail for you.
Anyone who would put their child in a tiara and makeup and heels. Tiaras are fine on their own, but
Yeah.
keep out the fake teeth, the makeup, the heels, all that. None of that. No splits. Dress those children up fully clothed kids in tiaras.
And the idea of beauty pageants too, I think, is a little misogynistic in itself. I mean, I know now they're trying to make them more all around talent, like the more professional ones that you see on TV, they ask them questions about like political and social and economical issues, and they try to make it like a well-rounded individual, but at the same time it's still like a beauty pageant.
I would like to see a beauty pageant that includes boys, girls, and trans,
Mm-hmm.
and perhaps a bit older. Like, don't do it when they're so young. I was in one when I was 5. My mom put me in one. So I had this really wonderful dress that was hand sewn. And I just loved that dress. I mean, I'm wearing this big, poofy green, gorgeous hand sewn dress with little bows all over it. And I've got my long brown hair and I'm just prancing across the stage. And of course, I think it's the best thing ever. As a little girl, I didn't know that there might be something problematic about being in a beauty contest. Yeah, those are also questionable. But again, I was fully clothed. I was wearing a
Yeah,
I mean, the dress was down to my knees. There was nothing, I
you
wasn't
have
being,
it on.
yeah, and I wasn't wearing a whole lot of makeup, just a little bit. It wasn't like toddlers and tiaras or
No, it's
dancing at
yeah, it's the
home, dancing
level
at
that
home.
those shows take it to. And that's why I'm saying, like, I even don't see that much wrong with beauty pageants for little girls. Like, it could be fun, it could be a fun experience for them, but the heavy makeup, the full body spray tan, the fake wigs, the fake lashes, the fake teeth, like, that's just too much. And what are we teaching them at 2, at 3? Like, this is what they need to do to be their best at 2. What do they have to do at 20? My gosh, it makes me feel like, it's crazy. I go weeks without shaving my legs sometimes. It's like, what would they think of me? I'm a Sasquatch compared to these little girls. Like, they're all
So,
done up, their nails are done. Like, it's
yeah.
just, it's too much. It's too much of a expectation on them when they're so little and they don't have time to be actual kids. It's sad.
So is that why you don't like her? Because she mostly seems to be problematic in that area, Chrissy Teigen.
Yes.
Or there are other things that are unrelated?
Um, I want to say that that's pretty much it. I've noticed that she's a bit problematic, and I've noticed because I follow her on Instagram, and I did like her for a bit when I didn't realize how like problematic she was, and I hadn't even seen those like tweets resurface. Um, when I saw those tweets come out, the older ones the one that you showed me, and I saw some other ones, I was kind of like questionable. Then some other stuff came out, and I was like even more questionable. And then like I see how she can be very confrontational when she's talking to people on Twitter who might just be like asking her a question. And I've seen people like fans, genuine fans, not even attacking her, just say like, hey, this, or ask her a question, and she just goes off on them. And it's like, I don't know, I just don't care for her too much.
Well, I want to like her. I have trouble liking her if she refuses to clarify where she stands on the toddlers and tiaras issue. That's where I am. I do appreciate her as a fellow Indo warrior. Um,
Yeah.
I'm glad she's raising awareness. I appreciate that. And I'm grateful for that. Whether, like you said, whether you hate her or whether you like her, she's raising awareness. So good for that. And, but not so good on some of those comments.
I can see where the controversy lies of Chrissy Teigen.
And she kind of new to me. She just got on my radar from in February because of the Indo community bringing her up. Um, Other than that, I'd heard of her husband, John Legend. Some of his songs are like really nice, kind of relaxing.
But I kind of remembered one of the other things that she posted that I was kind of like, okay, I don't know. I don't know about her. She had posted a picture of herself when she was like on bed rest. Because she had at one point where she was in, going through some stuff and she had to be bedridden. But she posted like a picture of herself where she was like naked, and then her assistant was like on the floor next to her bed, like showing her something, working on something. And then she posted like even working from bed or something like that, and someone was like, maybe you shouldn't be naked in front of your personal assistant. Like, even if they say it's fine, like maybe that's kind of too much to like make her be okay with. And I did kind of was like, that is kind of weird. Like, I know if like, even though she could have thrown a blanket over her, like, and also sharing that moment, it was like very like, okay, make your assistant sit on the floor. Like, I don't know, she was going through a lot, but it was just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think she had gone through a lot and she went through a lot publicly. And so, this based on what you're telling me and what I've seen from what she's posted, and not any other conspiracies or what any other people have said about her, my assessment is that she seems to be someone who doesn't understand boundaries and lacks a sense of propriety. And I don't know beyond that, I can't say. And I'm not going to accuse her of being a pervert or anything like that, although her comments are suspect. I don't know.
Yeah,
She
I don't know her
certainly
personally either.
doesn't make it easy to forgive her. Um, and she doesn't make it easy to be certain, but what seems really certain is that she lacks boundaries and an understanding of what's proper to be to publicly demonstrate. And that could have a lot to do with her role, her life, and her as a public figure.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean also just her being used to be her past of being a supermodel, like they're always changing in front of each other. So to her, it could be like very like just whatever, you
Yeah,
know. But at the same time, people take that as like, you shouldn't be like that in front of your personal assistant. Like put some clothes on or cover up. Like
but it's that willingness to like put it all out there that has led her to be willing to share her experience with endometriosis and raise awareness. And and
true.
it's the understanding how to behave properly, understanding where to cut boundaries and how to not share, that have kept it so secretive for most women. And through my generation, it wasn't something that people talked about when I was your age, for example. So until the 90s, we didn't really um, have anyone speaking up for it. And then it was in the 90s. And I'll just go into this for a second because we need to wrap up. I think I forgot to set my timer. I thought I
Yeah,
did, or I did. And
we started like at 7, so we're about 45 minutes now.
yeah. So I think we could probably just wrap up. And then
Okay.
I won't talk about, I just want to say who brought it up in the 90s to give her some credit. And then we'll wrap up. And I forget her name. Padma Lakshmi. She started the Endometriosis Foundation of America, and she's a TV host, model, and an author. And she was a voice for endometriosis in the 90s, I think the late 90s. So kind of raising, or was it 2010s? I'm not sure. Well, I'll correct it here. So
Yeah.
yeah, so for her, it wasn't really something people talked about very much in public. And I'm really glad that more people are. We need to raise awareness. Women should not be going decades with pain and not getting a diagnosis. This just shouldn't be happening.
And it is that's what is happening, and it's not just with endometriosis. We're seeing that be a problem with ADHD. We're seeing it be the problem with autism. There's so many things that women have not been studied. The symptoms have not been studied in women, like sociopathy and psychopathy are very different in women as opposed to men, and all of the research of course was performed on men, so we don't know what a psychopathic woman looks like, or and I'm just getting into other stuff, but it is a problem in the medical field, period, in medical research, period. Women are not represented.
And I think that and that's the thing about endometriosis. Like, we know when there's something off, and we know when there's something that needs to be checked. And we often can figure out, like, looking at our symptoms, what we have. And unfortunately, more often than not, I've had to diagnose myself before I got a diagnosis from a doctor. And
Yeah,
that's my gallbladder disease, with my endometriosis, and with my ADHD. I had to use the internet and put together my symptoms and figure out I had this and bring it to a doctor, and then finally got a legit diagnosis. So unfortunately, that's the way it is in the medical community, and especially for women, and anything related to pain.
yeah, and that's why it's so important to raise awareness.
And it's very common for doctors to dismiss you, and it's really hard to advocate for yourself, especially when you're suffering and in pain. So we're here to say it's real, it's underdiagnosed. You're not alone in your pain, and you're not alone in being dismissed, and you're not
Yeah,
alone in waiting decades to get diagnosed either. And pass it on, share our video, like it, subscribe, share it. Like this one, I'm gonna ask you, we haven't really asked anyone to share our videos yet. This time I'm asking to share it, to raise awareness.
so we would love to hear anyone who has any experience or knows someone who has dealt with it. If endometriosis has affected your life, we'd love to hear it. We are here for you. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. And as always, stay tuned for the next one.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
We need that, like, a little saying at the end. I don't know, like, I was thinking we could go toodles.
Yeah.
with our tea and the pinky out.
Toodles.